Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, we have everyone here. I would like to welcome you all to our Community Redevelopment Agency Hybrid Workshop on Board Priorities. Today is Tuesday, January 18th, and it is 5 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Chair James,
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino,
Here.
Board Member Davis,
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn,
Here.
Board Member Odman,
Here.
CRA Director Chen,
Here.
City Attorney Bootsas.
Thank you. The first thing up is board priorities. Mr. Chen, do you want to start with saying something, or how do you want us to do this?
I would like to make an opening comment. Thank you very much. I think this will be worthwhile information for you to have as you have your discussion tonight. The CRA is very loaded up with projects and activities right now. And I want to describe to you just a quick list of things that are on our plate. We have the CRM software. The setup and training process is in process. Neighborhood rehab event using Rebuilding Together is underway. Dania After Dark is underway. The Arts and Seafood Fest is scheduled for April. Smith Properties RFP is being drafted. Painted Crosswalks RFP is being drafted. The CRA plan contract is being negotiated at this time, and I hope to bring that to you in February to initiate the update of our CRA plan. The CRA facade grant is the revised documents reflecting the changes that were approved a few months ago are complete, and we should be taking applications starting as early as next week. I understand we have 5 businesses waiting to make applications to the rehab grant. We have the Dania Beach Business Academy, and my target is to have at least one series of classes every quarter of the year. And then we're in the season. We have our CRA annual report that is due on March 31. With all of that going on, the CRA having 4 full-time employees, we are 1 employee down because one of our full-time persons is on family leave. So if you'll just kind of keep in mind as you're discussing priorities, you need to also consider timeframes, because for right now, we are pretty much at capacity is what we can handle. And thank you very much for your opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Well, I think we can all take that into consideration, but understanding that we were having this meeting to discuss the priorities and what the board wanted to be able to accomplish in addition to the list that you gave us. Can I ask you, what are CRA software? Who's facilitating that?
That's the CRM software. That is with We Communicate. That is our database and contact software. That's what we'll manage all of our future contacts with.
Okay, and I know a lot of the other projects are being done by, somebody that's doing like turnkey, like Rebuilding Together is facilitating the initiatives with the painting and the landscaping and things of that nature. I know Day After Dark is being ran by Atlantic Productions, is it?
It is Atlantic Studios, but
Atlantic Studios.
we may have consultants, but we don't let our consultants simply run wild. They are all under our management.
Oh, understanding all of that, but doing the day-to-day operations or the operations that the CRA would typically have if we held this event on our own, we have Atlantic Studios. The CRA plan, is someone else doing that as well?
The CRA plan, we recommended using VHB consultants.
Okay.
But that takes a lot of coordination with the CRA staff.
Okay. And the Dania Beach Business Academy, I know Mr. Ford has been instrumental with doing that as well.
That's not correct. Mr.
Okay.
Ford was a presenter on one class in one of our series.
Okay.
All of those have been organized by basically me.
Okay, but who runs it?
Me.
Okay, and then when you're not there, your other members run it?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, I let, for instance, Keisha has, before she took her family leave, Keisha was getting experience to co-host the meeting, but she was not organizing the classes or the schedule.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to, I wrote some notes down, so I wanted to have clarifications on that. I did bring some. I'll let everyone else speak. I see the board member, Ottman, has her hand raised, and I don't see anyone. But I do have some priorities that I think are worthwhile to adding to this, not a whole bunch, because I am aware of your staffing, but I do think that we are able to still accomplish some of our priorities as a board, what we deem are most important for this CRA. Board Member Ottman?
Thank you. So this is just a thought, you know, this is the second director or manager that has said that they're, you know, they're at capacity, they have too much projects, take it easy on me. I mean, in the career world, that's not, at least in my experience, that's not really a thing. You know, as your plate is getting too full, I would request that you let us know as it's happening, not once it's happened. You know, I know there's staffing changes, but as these projects pile up, the second it gets too much for you or it's approaching too much for you, I think at that point, that's when you either need to personally stop and reassess what you're going to do from there on, or you need to let the board know at that point that you need to, you know, to not take anything else on, or you're approaching that point. But, you know, I think telling us once it's already past that point is a little tricky when the board may have in mind. I mean, I don't know how many things everyone has listed out that they want, but you know, it's helpful to know basically during your reports as if you're approaching that point is my point or my request.
Yes, okay. Board Member Llewellyn?
Yes, thank you. I actually have a different concern. I maybe took it differently than Commissioner Ottman did. I was under the impression that you were kind of letting us know where you are right now and where you stood, not that you were overwhelmed or anything.
That's exactly correct.
But my bigger concern is that adding additional projects at this point in time, we just got into what are we now in our second quarter for the fiscal year, and what our budget is for doing additional projects at this point. So I mean, I'm obviously here and I want to discuss things that we want to make as priorities for each of us and what we would like to make as projects for the board as a whole and for the district. But I don't know that it's something that we should be expecting to take place immediately, given the fact that we have budget constraints. So that's kind of where I wanted to start.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Thank you. All right, so I've listened and where I understand our concerns as far as being the board and trying to add some things to it. Coming off of our last meeting where we did an evaluation, I think the best solution that I think that we can do right now is that if we want to add some other things to that list, I think it could be what they call the B list. I think the A list needs to get accomplished because it's already been in motion. And to do the evaluation, I think it's a great opportunity for the executive director to, as he completes these projects, to bring them back to the board and let us know that it's completed, where he can open up the door for the next project, because you can't take care of 5 people at one time and get anything accomplished reasonably well or done right. I think that we can give a list of B list, and that B list can go there as long as it details of accomplishing the A list, and then we go ahead and work on the budget on that. I would say that we can give them that list, and maybe a quarter from now, we reevaluate where we are, and then hopefully we can come up with some of the things are completed where he can move into the next sector. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I basically agree with our colleagues here. We have spoken about when we keep putting new projects on that, you're not able to balance them all and get them to be successful if you're not executing them and just adding more. But one of the things, since we are here to talk about our priorities, and I have spoken to Executive Director Chin, one of my priorities is making the CRA having potentially an art district with an art festival. We do have the Art and Seafood Festival. I do know that we have some new businesses that have opened up on Northwest First Street who are art centered and want to have further discussions about that. So whether we're adding an actual project or we're beginning to have the discussions around those projects, I think that's something that we can begin to do. So for me, I think there's a lot of opportunity to add different to sort of start thinking about making it an art district and what we can do as far as beautification. I know we have our landscaping master plan, which is a huge undertaking. I know we have our beam team, which is beautification. But I think there's some opportunity to do some more things with beautification and art and things like that. So that's something that I would like. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but it's something where I think that we can start the conversations. We can take trips. I know, in the past, I've taken trips with our deputy city manager to different places, and we've looked at different projects in different cities. So I just think that there's different opportunities for us to keep our eyes open, to look at different things, to keep the discussions going, whether we give them a deadline or not. So that's just one of the things that I would like to see. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll add to that in a moment. I just wanted to say, I don't want us to get confused between CRA and city. I've always made this distinction. When we got that email about overload, that was the city's overload. That was the city's overload and all of the projects that they are doing. We're just hearing about this, and 4 of them are recurring. So I like what the vice chair is saying in a sense. And I have no problem if when we hit that mark, being able to put the other things in a queue, if you will, by priorities. But some of these things can't be put in a queue. Like Day After Dark is ongoing. The facade grant is going to be ongoing. The Business Academy is going to be ongoing. Every year we're going to have a CRA annual report. Rebuilding Together is ongoing. So the things that, the ideas, and maybe we cap it at 3 ideas collectively as an entire team for the CRA, instead of saying everybody bring 2 ideas or whatever. We can put out those ideas and talk about those things. And then in talking about those things, we can prioritize 3. And I'm also not saying it has to be done tomorrow, but we can start working on those things. I think that is very feasible. I've been a part of this board when we've had a laundry list of things and they've been able to get accomplished. Also, speaking about funding, we had our finance director tell us that there is wiggle room within the budget to be able to do certain things within reason. And so I think that the discussion is warranted. And if we feel like it's getting to be too much, we make that decision as a board. But start off on yours, since you presented something first. What is your vision, or what project do you have in mind? I have something that's similar that you may like. What is this street? Is this South? What's the street right here where we have Daniel After Dark? Northwest First Avenue?
First Avenue.
Okay. Southwest?
It's Southwest, yes.
Okay.
Southwest, Dania Beach Boulevard.
Okay, that street, this street that we have Daniel After Dark. I've heard 3 different addresses, but we all know the street that we're talking about.
Yeah, anything
Okay,
else,
great.
anything south of Dania Beach Boulevard is south. Anything north is north.
Okay, great. So the street, Southwest, Northwest, First Avenue, depending on where you're standing at geographically. I think that, in talking about Daniel After Dark and talking about other concepts of being able to not only in the future, if the vision is to expand those things, to make that an art type of walkway. We can do a multitude of different projects that I don't know. I'm just thinking of having something that is concrete that we can showcase, and it's right here by our city hall, which we want to build up our downtown area as well. Because whether we like it or not, we compete with Dania Point for people to come and understand that City Hall is here and our downtown is here. I mean, Dania Point is great, you know, but we also need to make sure that we're showcasing when people come to pay their bills or when they want to, you know, perform their civic duties, or just the downtown area is something to be proud of. So that may be an opportunity.
No, that's exactly the page that I'm on, and expanding that Northwest First Street all the way to, we spoke about maybe to Griffin Road, where as long as we can make it, to make expanding that Dania After Dark area a lot longer, and to have a featured event, or not just an event, but something that's going to be to have that walkability from Northwest to Southwest First Street, and really make this like its own destination, or something where the residents just want to come, the people who are going to be moving here, the people who are already here, and really beautifying that entire corridor so that we have really a little mini destination location for that entire area. And so I have started having those conversations with new business owners who are going to be opening up in February, who want to talk, who have artists already in these little I guess in these little mini warehouses, and they're bringing different artists, and they have vision to bring artists who are worldwide and do different things, and really include C.W. Thomas Park, and have maybe live music and do things there. So we started these conversations. I kind of got nervous because I was like, oh, we said no more new projects, but I said we can at least have the conversations, see where they go. And I've invited Director Chen on those conversations, but these are just initial conversations from new business owners who have reached out to me directly, that I would like to continue those conversations. But I think we have a real opportunity to make that area a nice mini destination location for our residents, and really beautify it, and have some really nice public art and events in that area.
Thank you. Do you want to hear what Vice Chair has to say on this before? Or, okay, Vice Chair?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll tell you, Chair, I think that two things that if you're asking for three, I'll absorb whatever everybody else would like to do. But I think that the first Southwest First Street, even Northwest, if we go that far, I think that's a great idea. I think that would set us off into an area that we need to revitalize and be prepared for a couple of new things that may happen on that street. And I think that with Dania After Dark, the people coming down there and so on, I think that's probably, that should be our number one priority. I'm all with you on that. I think the second thing that I would like to, that may not take a lot of time up, is when we used to do the for the life of me, I'm trying to remember the name. We used to do the cleanups. We used to do what once in a while. I used to enjoy that, where we put
It was the Oasis.
yeah, the Oasis project. I used to enjoy that. I thought the Oasis projects was a great idea. I think I don't know what the expenses are on that, but if they don't have it now, we could maybe put it in next year's budget. But I think I think everybody liked to be involved in that. I think the community liked to be involved, and I think it really upscaled the neighborhoods. That would be my suggestion. But I like the first one that you talked about. That's just my opinion.
The Oasis, just to let you know, the Oasis went through the city. I believe so, because I could remember doing it with the former
You're
city
probably right, because
manager.
we were around the CRA district on some of those. Okay.
But
well,
it's still a good idea for us to want to bring back quarterly. We had stopped it a while ago, while the former city manager was still here. But I'm all open to bringing them back. I think it was very cost efficient. It was literally staff in the community going out and cleaning up. So I don't think it cost much money.
We won't add any more project to her right now, but we'll put that in our maybe the second half of the year plans. How's that?
Yep, she's here taking notes. All right, Mr. Chen.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. So the list I read you were actually, this is a list of things that are here active and has ongoing obligations. But Commissioner Davis was absolutely correct. And I want you all to know, simply because we have a lot of projects in our hands, it does not mean we stop answering the telephone. And I can tell you, the telephone is ringing more and more as the months go past. We are talking, and in fact, we have a meeting with an potential arts hub in this corridor next week. And it is something we would talk with and explore. It is already something that I've spoken with Atlantic Studios about how they would think about incorporating an expanded area that would include an arts element to this. We also had another meeting just last week on another potential arts hub that's a little bit south of us. So the point is, you're absolutely right. Economic development is one of these things that is unpredictable from day to day. You have to be responsive and you have to answer the phone and pursue opportunities that are presented to you in every conversation. Those activities were not included in my list, but it is certainly something we do.
You might want to check with your CRA staff. I know that they, in the past, we've had, well, first of all, we've had the CAC do art in the hall. That was one thing, but since we're not doing that right now, we've had artists in the middle of the walkway painting sculptures or painting different different items or things or sculpting things. And so that might be a way that you can incorporate them at different locations, because it does kind of draw a crowd. It draws people to look at what's happening, some visualization that is live art. And so you may want to consider that as well.
I completely agree. And in fact, creating an arts district along the federal highway corridor is actually in our CRA plan. And it's something that, frankly, being 17, 18 years old, has not gotten much traction. I think we're going to actually get some tangible movement toward that, perhaps yet this year. So we're very anxious to see that. I think that is a great thing, and we'll work to make that happen.
Do you? I see your hand. Do you think that you can bring us, you or your staff, and bring us back some ideas of opportunities that could exist with this Southwest First Street or Avenue? Sorry.
Well, we can certainly look for ideas that would accelerate things. But frankly, a lot of this, to create an arts center, requires some investment. All right. And frankly, unless we are ready to write some very substantial checks, we would do very well to leverage where the private sector wants to already go. And like I just mentioned, I think we have two active opportunities that will allow us to come in and leverage some private sector investment that will be pretty substantial, and that will give us basically an arts district that has activities at two ends that can work toward the middle and basically cover the entire corridor.
No, that's fine. However
Yeah.
you get it done, I just want
Yeah.
us to be a part of the process and know the opportunities and have those
We will
conversations
certainly
as well.
keep you up to date on activities of the conversations we have. But I think it's actually something that is going to become a reality in the near future.
Thank you. Board Member Llewellyn?
Thank you. Actually, I too have been having conversations with our CRA director as well as the city manager about doing some things on First Avenue, primarily because I know that FDOT would have a hard time with us doing a whole lot on US 1. And it just would make more sense if we're going to do something to do it in an area that's close by that would be like an arts and entertainment center. So, I mean, I think it's a good idea. The other thing though, isn't the city already doing something? Is there something in the works for like the streets or something in that area? I'm trying to figure out to help with the funding a little bit, because if it's something we've already got in the budget, I'm just.
Approximately 3 months.
The mic's not on. I can't hear her.
Sorry.
We got you coming.
Thank you. So approximately 3 months ago, Candido, myself, had a discussion because we had looked at that avenue from Sterling all the way to Old Griffin and the opportunity of an arts and entertainment district, like a pedestrian street to activate the back of the house. So the art would, and this is 3 months ago. And it's something that I was also communicating with the mayor and with Commissioner Llewellyn. We're here to work together with a CRA to make things happen. But that would be really cool because as we look at working with FDOT, there are so many challenges with FDOT. And as you know, Mayor, today we were discussing about the painted crosswalks. And FDOT may have a lot of restrictions. But yeah, it'd be really cool. And I would be, amenable, to suggest to you guys, even looking into our reserves and having a consultant just basically do an assessment of that thoroughfare all the way from Sterling all the way to Old Griffin Road and begin, that vision and take it to fruition.
And do we have consensus on at least seeing how much a consultant would cost and see financially, and seeing financially how that would look, and then having Mr. Chen then put his input and let us know how that would work?
I have a
I'd
question.
like to do, if I may, I'd like to do a little tag team with Manager Garcia. Because yes, we started with a phone call. Subsequent to that, I actually sat in on a presentation that community development has done on their concept of a complete streets project that would span First Avenue from Sterling to, I think, Northwest 3rd Street. I think that is a wonderful idea. It's everything I envisioned for us to be able to energize this as a district of activity. It'll have art space, but it'll also have restaurants and other types of activities. So this is a great idea. You may recall that in December, you approved for us to do a memorandum of agreement with FIU and their Interact program. I have discussed this with them because it has been my experience that typical complete streets projects take somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 years for applied funding. So I have talked with FIU as part of our Interact agreement to get Interact and FIU in the same table with community development so that together we can work out more details and so forth to the idea of a complete streets project. And then I would turn FIU out to look for funding under a covered recovery program from federal to where we could perhaps accelerate the ability to secure funding maybe within the next year or two. So I have been having those conversations to follow up.
That's what I was talking about.
My recommendation, we can apply for funding, but I think, it's a good investment for the city because unless we want to continue to be known as the antique capital of the world, we have to make sure that we put in place a game plan that would be attractive for those antique places to kind of like, sail away into the sunset and us to be able to attract businesses in the federal corridor, because the fact that it's FDOT is not going to allow us to slow things down to be able to have parking there like a miracle mile. So we were exploring what other cities were doing that didn't have the front of the house. And the key is to activate the back of the house and tie it all into Dania After Dark and tie the whole corridor together. So as we look for funding, we could still apply funding because it's an investment and we're going to get that return from the investment for being able to attract, the businesses that we want in that corridor.
Okay. So before I think I moved a step too fast. Before we have consensus, we're gonna hear everything out and then choose what we want. I know that Board Member Ottman has her hand raised, but I just wanted to be clear of, we're gonna say everything we understand, and then we'll say, what was our top 3, and then we'll submit that, and everything else will, I guess, be in the queue. Is that okay with everyone?
Fine.
Yes. Okay, great. Board Member Ottman?
Yeah, so I had a question about, so what do you want the consultant to do? I think it was you that asked for the consultant.
Well, the city manager said that we should probably have a consultant come on board and really assess the whole street, and see what opportunities are where and what type of designs, and maybe they'll have a A and B plan of things that we can really have some vision on and saying, this is what we want to go here and this what can go there.
As it relates to to art?
As it relates to an art walkable district, I think in order to really activate the garage, you have a walkable entire street, and you have to park and walk down it, and you see different opportunities that we don't know exist yet or we're talking about, but
Right.
we don't have that in front of us. And so we have to, because traffic concerns, and we have to create a more walkable town, get more people out of their cars and active and engaged in the city. And so I think even if that is changing the pavers to art pavers, or I've been in Houston in Texas where they have muralists different times of the year draw different things depending on what the temperature is in society or whatever is going on, and they can showcase their talent and it's there for like months. And then they have different, artists come in and have different installations of that. And then you have some places that it's all, the whole ground is like permanently made out of some type of or form of art.
Sure. So the second part of my question was actually, so I was just clarifying that that's what you were asking for the consultant for. So the second part of my question is any of that covered? Because we got a consultant for the art in public places plan. Is there any overlap there?
Well, what we're
My
talking
bad.
about, if I may, through the mayor, it's creating an art and entertainment district, right? So they will take a look at the entire street. Do we make it a pedestrian only street? What legislation do we need to change in our code to activate that, attract new businesses, to retain the businesses that we have, to be able to have art studios? So the consultant will do an assessment if you support this on how do we get from where we're at now to creating an art and entertainment district for the entire thoroughfare from Sterling all the way to Old Griffin.
I
Well,
think
so
she's asking.
yeah, in the language, we didn't say an entertainment district, but there is talk of an arts district. I've been talking about this forever. And that was also through the arts plan, was identifying any possibilities for that. So I'm just asking if there's any overlap in what that consultant would be doing, if they've even started their work. I don't know what the latest update is on
No,
where we are with
that
that.
we're going to have a presentation by Corinne, Commissioner Odman, at the next commission meeting to let you know where we're at with that. There is a little bit of an overlay. The Art in Public Places Board would be mostly to identify the art. What somebody like an FIU or a Kimley Horn would do is to look at the complete thoroughfare from traffic to turning it into a pedestrian, to see what legislation we need to change from our existing code, to looking out how we can bring your vision into a reality, and also identify funding as well.
I just wanted to know if the consultants could help, but I feel like maybe we are talking about different things. So just to not hold it up, if that's what you think is best, and what you all think is best is to get a consultant on board to evaluate that. I mean, this is something that's been talked about for ages. I would love for it to happen. So I would support that.
Okay. Okay. And I guess we'll move on to the next thing. One thing that is vitally important, and just to really stay on the record, that every decision that we make now, the foundations that we put in now, it affords us different types of things that then happen in the future, because nothing just falls in our lap or happens by accident. Um, when the CRA was first created, we had leadership there that really changed the code. And when we were in that recession, and really made incentives that made developers want to come and choose Dania Beach. You know, we've done landscaping and beautification that has made investors want to invest here in Dania Beach and want to say, you know what, why Dania Beach? Why the CRA area? Why this prime area? It's because of the decisions that have been made for a very long time since the inception of the CRA. So I just want to make sure that we're understanding that these types of things, 20 years down the road, the people that are going to want to invest and come and live here is because of the things that we're putting into place right now. So, you know, just um, never just assume that, you know, this is just a decision and it'll just be a fun project. A lot of these things, they live past our lives here on this commission. And with that being said, I know that the crosswalks, not the decorative ones, but the ones at the rail stations. When we talk about strategic planning, we talk about public safety, big safety component. And if there's anything we need to go back and look into investing in, it would be those two intersections that we have on Northwest First Street and Dania Beach Boulevard, that we don't have pedestrian walkways and really safety for our pedestrians. I saw a man have his leg cut off right here outside of here, maybe like 2 years ago, and had to run over to the fire station. I mean, maybe he was taking a chance, and a lot of people do, but they aren't safe. And I know that a few years ago, I can't remember which year it was, we were going to look into that, but funding definitely tied our hands. But if it's anything that we're really going to invest in when we are talking about all of our different priorities, and I mean, that's a safety component that I think that you can always add art to. You can add art to anything, but we definitely need to look into that. I'm not sure what held us back. I thought I tried to put it in my notes. Are you familiar with any of that, Mr. Chen?
Uh, Chair James, I actually have gone back and forth across those railroad tracks to see. Basically, the way it's configured right now, they are typically somewhat minor roadways. That's the bulk of the crossings for that track. And what's happened is whatever pedestrian way, whatever sidewalk, whatever shoulder of the road is available for people on the roadway, when they get to the rail crossing, it's pinched up. The only way to cross those tracks is to go into the road right away itself. I think that is a very, very good idea. It will take some funding. It'll take some commitment, but to widen the actual surface that's crossing the railroad tracks to facilitate both pedestrian and car traffic with a separation, I think it would be very good for our neighborhoods.
I'm not sure of exactly. I know that I have this written down. At one point in time, the costs that were brought back to us at the CRA board was like a little under $200,000. I know we were working with the city attorney at the time and the city engineer at the time, so it definitely was a CRA city joint venture led by the CRA, but we couldn't do it with lack of funding. And I'm willing to give up my personal projects to ensure the safety, you know what I mean, for our residents is definitely what's needed. So maybe you can ask your staff to see what numbers and what exactly they had in mind, because it was never really brought back and discussed in detail of the renderings or anything else. I know it was definitely the FEC railroads, and one of the prices was around $180,000, $190,000 for that project.
Okay. We can explore some solutions for that could result in us going out to get some specific pricing. I will also check with our public services department. They should have an idea of a per linear foot roadway. It may be something that could be done as simply as adding maybe 3 feet of pavement on each side of the roadway as it crosses the track. So that would be 3 feet on each side for a span of 10 feet that's well across the track. That would at least give people a chance to cross those tracks without being into the roadway itself.
Yeah, and you have to get with the FEC as well, because I know a
Of
certain
course.
amount of it is owned by them before it becomes our
Yeah.
area. Okay, Board Member Ottman?
Yeah, have we?
I mean, was
spoken
Board
to
Member
any-
Salvino first?
Sorry.
Sorry. Board Member, Vice Chair?
Okay, thank you. Anyhow, yeah, I remember going through this 4 years ago. And I remember the price that you're close. I think it's something like $147,000 or something like that. It might have been more, but you're in that 100-something thousand area. But I remember it's the question that came up on that. A couple things that just ring a bell. When they were talking about doing the walkover, the thing, FEC had to be involved. And also we questioned why FEC wasn't paying for it. And we also questioned it being a handicap situation where there was possibly some grant money available because it was a handicap situation. So there's a lot of options that I think could be looked into that would help us pay for that. And I'm not sure exactly, when the FEC expects any pedestrian to cross the railroad track, especially a handicapped person in a wheelchair or a walker, how they can expect them to cross that without, the proper things. So I think there's an obligation there that we can grab some money out of to help pay for this instead of us taking the whole thing. That's just I remember this conversation. I remember some of that coming up, but I don't remember the whole thing. That's all I can add to that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It definitely would need to be ADA accessible. And I think like the slope or something like that, when you're talking about ramps, is like, I don't know, every 1 to 4 or something like that. So you're right. And this isn't a request for funding. It's just a request this is something a priority, and we can definitely be creative and tap into any type of funding that we have, or even the emergency funding that we just received, to see if it's something that can help us fund this. Board Member Ottman and then Board Member Llewellyn.
Yeah. Did we reach out to any of our contacts at Brightline? I know that we've had 2 safety incidences in Dania Beach, and they might be someone who, from the art, either the safety or the artistic aspect, could help us source funding to do something around the tracks. I know that they've done that in other municipalities. Have we reached out to them, or?
That's something that I'll leave to the executive director
Yeah,
to.
I have not actually proceeded with any action from my observations, but your observation is absolutely correct. It would be something good for us to address. And we can explore if there's any obligations to the FEC side. First thing is just to figure out what is a really easy solution and discuss the feasibility of it with FEC to get basically a design understanding between us. And then we can talk about how we split the funding.
Not a problem. Board Member Llewellyn.
Yes, and I was just going to add to that. Oh, I was going to mention Brightline because sometimes when a company has a lot of issues with safety problems, they set up a fund,
Yeah.
and it may be something that's already being done. I do believe that the 2 instances that you're talking about that took place in Dania Beach, I believe both of those were self-inflicted situations where people were putting something on the tracks themselves, whether it was their own person or a cart or something. So that might not be something that would qualify if they are doing something like that, but it never hurts to ask. The other option is the infrastructure bill. We have the money that's come in, American Recovery Act and so forth, and there's a bunch of infrastructure money in there. That's definitely something to look at. It's also something the MPO would look at. So this is something that we could bring to the MPO and say, this is a project that potentially we might be able to put up on the list quickly.
Can I ask
Because
you a
if-
question
Mhm.
regarding MPO? Well, so are you saying when you said be able to put it in front and it can go in front of the other projects, does that mean we still need the 5-year wait period?
I
for
don't
it?
know. We'd have to present it and see what they'd want to do. It's a matter of public safety. So they rate things based on different criteria. And if it's a matter of safety, that's something that would be rated a little higher, I believe. Now, we don't know. It could be 5 years. It could be, they have several different sources of funding. It's not just one. So there's multiple different lists that we look at for different priorities. So some take, like the one plan, like there's one plan that takes, up to 20 years. There's other plans that take 5. There's other plans that take,
40.
that are regular projects that come up on a regular basis. So it's definitely something else that we might be able to look at as far as maybe even presenting it and making a suggestion.
Okay, so I have a recommendation. And obviously we'll kind of give consensus on how we want to prioritize it. But if it is prioritized, then we can deal with, the different options of how we can possibly get it done at the least amount of cost to the city, and then go with feasibility, understanding that we want it done like now, in the near future, I should say. Then we worry about how we get those things funded and or reimbursed or however. Everyone okay with that? Yep, yep. All right. Next board responsibility, anyone? I have the crosswalks that we've already kind of approved. And can you give us some type of an update on that?
As to the painted crosswalks, I have some historical experience with painted crosswalks on FDOT roadways. But I'm reaching out to this district office to see where their policies and practices are. Meanwhile, I'm in the process of writing the RFP so we can put this out and get an idea of what an actual cost to this would be. This is Tuesday. I think I may be able to complete that RFP yet this week. So I will, as soon as it's done, I'll submit it to purchasing for their review. And it's something that could possibly be out in the next week or two. So I am
Okay.
making progress with that.
Okay. And from one of the community meetings that we all have had, I guess, with some of the community in the different neighborhoods in the CRA, I know that there has been discussion amongst the board and with the communities to make a business district of that corridor that leads going in from, that's Third all the way to Bryan Road. We do have some stakeholders that have significant properties that are there that has expressed interest in wanting to make it a business district. So I'm not sure if we want to start setting up, I've spoken with you about a community meeting, but a business district type meeting, seeing what ideas are and what could formulate and come from those. These are just conversations. I think that it would help to build a stronger relationship with yourself and the board in these communities, as well as helping us to um, prioritize some of the things that we may want to see, or just help us envision different things that different people have that may not even be on our radar.
Okay. As I have, as we've spoken together, I have expressed to you, I am very interested in meeting face to face with our community. Um, I think it's been kind of a peculiar year again with some COVID influence, but I am very interested in developing some credible conversation and a level of trust with our community. So by all means, we can have that conversation. I can also tell you that there are a number of things. Remember, I hope we'll start our CRA plan update um, after your meeting in February. And the target date for completion on that would be July. But there will be ideas evolving throughout that plan development. It also specifies that the consultant must have heavy engagement with our community. These are perfect topics to bring up with that. And it gives the expertise of a consultant like BHB a chance to see how the development and use of one corridor can be successful or work with other corridors of that nature. I can tell you this whole concept that we discussed earlier about this arts corridor, and I have to say, I've given it my own name. It's not yours. But I think of the First Avenue corridor as the Dania Village. It's basically a Main Street concept that we can do that would be just really great for the city. I want this to be part of the focus of our updated CRA plan. I want them to see how that works in concert with the other areas and districts of the CRA that we need to be careful of, we need to watch. Okay, so by all means, we can have those conversations, and it will be part of the formal study in our CRA plan.
Okay, okay, and talking about the businesses that we want to bring here, what is your current plan for business retention and attraction in our CRA area?
Well, some of it is possible with the facade grant update that we did. We are increasing that with the idea of making buildings more current retail friendly. So it would put us in a position to assist with the either conversion cost or construction cost of current retail. There's many of our programs that are part of this strategy. The Dania Beach Business Academy is a very big piece of this. We're trying to teach businesses how to be successful and how to grow, how to start up. That was our entrepreneurial program. Now, sure, the classes go beyond the realm of our city, but that is another piece, because as businesses recognize that there are resources being offered for businesses in the region, they start looking for new places to go when their lease is up. So the idea that we have people with businesses in Margate and Plantation and Sunrise and so forth that are participating in our programs, I tell you what, the next time their lease is up, Dania Beach will be in their mind. So that is part of the concept of the Dania Beach Business Academy. We are also trying to be more active in the area, just so that, and again, I mentioned earlier that the phone is ringing more and more. And I don't know if it's because of the reputation of Dania Beach as a whole. I don't know if it's, where the elevation of our reputation is coming from, but it is being elevated. We're starting to get more and more recognition. From the time since I've started, there's multiples of phone calls every week versus what there has been just 6 months ago.
And it's just popping. That's fine.
Well, it's the idea of getting a business to come is starting with a conversation. All right. You got to let them know that there's opportunities here and there's a reason that there's an advantage for them to be here. That goes back to other things, like when we were doing my evaluation, I've printed out for you all of the information and demographics and so forth regarding Dania Beach and its role within the region. This is all part of helping people understanding the markets that are available by being in Dania Beach. So we have at least 3 or 4 initiatives that combine together to start creating this business attraction and retention. And I can tell you, I actually started a business academy when I was in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. I know this is Dania Beach, but I started that concept in Fort Lauderdale. In Fort Lauderdale, that concept received the 2010 IEDC Gold Award as the best business retention project in the country. And this is what our business academy is modeled after, only frankly, it's done better because lessons have been learned and we're taking this to more expansive subjects and so forth that are more contemporary. So I'm telling you, these are very big programs that are contributing to that effort.
Thank you. Board Member Oddman?
Yeah, so I was just thinking, so when we think of this, what the CRA's, core things are doing, aside from these, these projects we're talking about, affordable housing, business attraction and retention. So I remember with the city, we were going to one time have like, I guess it was our Chamber of Commerce, maybe we're going to have them do like monthly updates of, I don't know what they were doing at the city. I think one thing that might be helpful, at least, I don't know, for me, I don't know if it would be of value to you, is maybe, and maybe Bill would be a good person for this, to like once a month get an update of like what businesses have been brought in or in the works. I know, I guess it doesn't happen that quickly, but some sort of like monthly update as to what is going on specifically with business attraction. I mean, I think that would be really helpful so that we know what, what's coming in, how quickly is it coming in. I mean, because that's so central to the CRA. We were told, so it's not really, I guess, a project, but is that something that could be done? Director Chen, either you or I just said Bill because I know that's his job, but somebody, either you or somebody in the CRA giving us that update once a month.
Yes, member Odman, that is something that exactly is actually in practice. We can expand our monthly economic development report to include contact information. Now, there is a limitation that we need to kind of agree to observe here. No business wants their future plans to be aired in public. So we can talk about, we're working with a business that is a retail business and just a broad description of their type of lines and products and so forth, or the types of services. We can provide you with information about those conversations. And I can tell you, as soon as those businesses open, we will report the business name to you. But absolutely, we'll do this.
Well, maybe
and
just
this
an
is
email,
something that
then, because I understand what you're saying. I guess I didn't think of that you wouldn't be able to say it until they were literally about to open. So I guess that wouldn't really
that's
work.
correct.
I'm just trying to find ways, there's some very concrete things that we're looking to see happen in the CRA. Well, forget about us, that residents are looking to see happen within the CRA. And I would like to be able to say, well, look, now this month we have 2 more businesses that are on their way in, but I understand what you're saying, that you can't say the name. So maybe just, I guess that wouldn't make sense. So never mind.
If I may, we will try to provide you information in our monthly economic development report. That's part of my admin report, so
Right.
that you'll have a sense of the type of activity we're conducting with trying to get businesses to come in.
Can you also add which businesses are closing or may have closed?
As we identify, we can. And we can also identify as we've been engaged with businesses and lost. In fact, in my last admin report, I actually reported that we lost a business to another city. But we'll do what we'll do what we can to provide you information so that you can understand what's going on in our market, and we can work together to adjust the information in a way that is, let's say, understandable for you to understand the market.
Okay, okay. So I think we have kind of, go ahead.
Just to kind of add on some of the things that are being discussed already, because one of my things it's always been a pet peeve of mine. I brought it up with the prior director. I brought it up with you as well. We have a lot of empty buildings. We have a lot of for lease signs and for rent signs and for sale signs. And when you're talking about the business academy and saying that they'll have us in the back of their mind, what about doing something proactively where we're either sending a regular, like some sort of a newsletter or an email or something that provides them with the people that have already been part of the business academy, provides them with locations that we have available, or something that says, you should come check out our real estate, and like feature a couple of places that we know are looking to rent or sell, and it might help with some of that. Just to kind of keep us in the forefront of these individuals who are coming in for the business academy. And then it would, and again, I know low on staff right now, I get that, but at some point down the road, and they could also tie back the business academy to future businesses coming here. And maybe there could be some sort of incentive program for them to come back to Dania Beach after they've completed the program. I don't know. I mean, there might be something that we could throw out there as a way to tie it together with revenue to the city and businesses for the city and places for for the residents to go to.
You're headed down some ideas that have tossed around in my own head just dozens of times. I think it's great to explore. What I would like to do is I would like to get the Business Academy to get a little bit more traction. The key to that academy is getting name recognition so that people will register to join. Once that happens, I think you'll see there'll be a domino effect of people following that as a resource that is a benefit to their business. So by all means, all the things you talked about, in the not distant future, I think I will be bringing you some requests for programs that could coincide with that academy that would drive more specifically the academy attendance to be businesses in in Dania Beach.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just,
thank
because
you.
it just looks sad, you know, when you see empty buildings and you see the
It
signs
is.
up and whatnot, it's very sad. And I know COVID made it worse, but it's been this way for a while. It's not just COVID. So
I
it's
agree.
just, it would be nice to, it helps revitalize things when you start seeing people moving in and, you know, painting and, you know, doing some work on a place. It really does make a difference to everybody.
It does.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so to kind of wrap it up, I guess well, obviously the RFP is going out for the crosswalk, so that's in the works first. But then, what would we don't need a motion in a second. We can't formally vote on anything, but the other two projects that were kind of presented were um, the complete street on Northwest slash Northwest Southwest First Avenue. Goodness gracious, it's gonna kill me. And the crosswalks with FEC. I mean, that's still only three. Are we okay? Yes.
Maybe I can relieve you of this. We'll take this on. Those two are important projects. I don't know how much time can be allocated to each, but I can tell you we will take it on with the prospect with the target of moving forward with solutions that we can bring back to you. We'll bring the way I see it is the complete streets / arts district or business district on the First Avenue corridor and the rail crossings.
Absolutely.
We'll
Any-
take those on. You don't
and-
have to choose.
Oh, we weren't gonna choose. I guess it was only three up here, huh? All right. Well, I appreciate you saying that you guys are going to take that on. Anyone else want to add anything? There have been other conversations, obviously, with what board member Llewellyn is saying. Maybe you can just add that and incorporate that within the business district, so it's not a big thing. And well,
Mayor?
yes.
If I may, I just wanted to
Mhm.
communicate what our finance director was letting us know, that between ARPA and the new infrastructure bills, we're going to have plenty of funding to do these projects. So whatever we can do to tag team, I just wanted to let you know, we don't have to touch reserves, but the ARPA money and the infrastructure bills are going to be aligned with these priorities and all the rest of the priorities that we have in your adopted strategic plan to be able to move these things forward. So even with the challenges with staffing and things like that, with the revolving contracts that we have in place for Kimley Horn and the rest of these other firms, these are things that we can do with their support as well. But I just wanted to give you the good news that the monies are there for us.
Okay, and I guess also when speaking of the money being there, just keep in the back of your mind, or even for the city manager or the CRA executive director, that we need to do some type of federal highway beautification, some type of it. I know that we got a lot of flack when we first started planting those palm trees years and years ago. Maybe the vice chair was here then, or maybe it was before him, but we got a lot of flack about putting them palm trees there. The residents hated it. And look how beautiful it is now. Look how scenic it is. And, you know, everything is synchronized with all the developments having to use the same kind. So we should also, when we're looking at, you know, these for sale signs and zero empty spaces, right? And trying to get businesses to come to our downtown corridor, we can also do things that are in our power, like beautifying what's existingly there, because it is quite dull and boring.
Mayor, through the mayor, we already have a contractor in place, and we've been meeting with Fernando and Dinzer and our deputy city manager to be able to bring forward a complete citywide landscaping master plan, starting with a Griffin Corridor and coming up Federal and Dana Beach Boulevard. So that's in the works as we speak to bring forward to you.
Okay, okay, well, make sure that you are well versed in that with the city manager as well. because
I have feel that we've developed a very good working relationship between Manager Garcia and myself. I think we have a lot of alignment of purpose, and I think it can be done. I can tell you that as part of my kickoff with our CRA plan update consultants, I really will tell them I want to focus on some of these challenge corridors. I particularly want to see of all the corridors that we have, I'm going to say across the city, but it has to be start within our CRA plan. Within that, where are the visibility corridors that we need to focus on to give the first good impression for Dania Beach? And this could be everything from the rail frontages with our passenger rails to our major highways and our arteries such as Federal Highway, Dania Beach Boulevard, and so on. This is instructions I have planned to give our CRA consultant.
And adding to that, the wayfinding signs that was approved by this board in, I think, October, that the city manager is also working on. So I think all of those together, you won't get lost. You'll see something beautiful and it'll be very well landscaped. So, anyone else have anything else to add? No, and no. All right, well, I think this has been a productive, short, timely workshop. I'm so proud of us. Thank you, Tom and Eve for being here with us as city manager and staff. So, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.